How are you all doing? Welcome back to Help Coin, where we break through the clutter and discuss what XRP's real future holds. I am aware that you have been observing the same thing as I have. Headlines saying that XRP is finished, that the price has peaked, and that perhaps we've already lost the opportunity. To put it bluntly, that's the type of rhetoric that people fall for just before the next big move starts, because what's about to happen as we head into the end of November isn't just hype, it's confirmed momentum. The CEO of Ripple has alluded to the timing. All signs point to one of the largest rises in recent memory. This is a reminder to keep alert because this narrative is going to get explosive if you own XRP and you believe in what's ahead. Let's face it, the current state of the market is peculiar. Ethereum is attempting to maintain support, Bitcoin is cooling off, and XRP is calmly hovering around the same range that everyone has been observing for weeks. However, beneath that serene exterior, the data presents a different picture. We are observing changes in liquidity, institutional players' wallet activity, and an unexpected increase in cross-border volume that isn't arbitrary. It's setting up every cycle before XRP's major leap. The pattern is the same. Low volatility, high-doubt retail boredom, and then out of nowhere, price action wakes up and doesn't look back. Again, we're right back there. And you're aware of what comes next if you're listening. The thing is this is a period that most people miss. Price speculation and excitement tweets aren't the only things involved. Ripple's entire global strategy is pivoting from defense to offense. They aren't only riding high on the excitement now that the litigation is over and they have regulatory clarity, it's being deployed. In a recent interview, Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, made a small yet impactful statement. He said, "The end of November will be massive." Now, he didn't say that by accident. Ripple schedules their announcements in accordance with institutional rollouts, liquidity windows, and market readiness. That seems to me that a controlled ignition, not an arbitrary pump, is what we're getting at. I would like you to consider this. Ripple is out here working directly with central banks, integrating stable coins, and building ODL corridors across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. While the typical trader is obsessed with daily candles and tiny dips, liquidity dominance is the goal of all they do. The end of November matches up with various macro triggers, ETF decisions, inflation data, and central bank balance sheet movements. All that capital doesn't move instantaneously, but once it starts flowing, it appears like a huge wave. Additionally, the ledger of XRP is among the few infrastructures that are prepared to manage such migration in real time. Before we delve farther, I want to clarify something. This isn't about wishful thinking. It involves identifying technical setup, alignment, macro timing, and verified assertions from Ripple leadership. It's no accident when those three align. That's a tactic, therefore. The answer to the question of whether it's too late and whether XRP still has room to run is that it very definitely does. And what's going to happen next might reinterpret what this community has been anticipating for the past few years. We'll examine what the data indicates in the following section, so stay tuned. Retail interest, institutional flows, and the reasons behind XRP's purposefully low level of public attention. One of the greatest opportunities before the next bull wave is this quiet before the storm, and you'll discover why. So let's go deeper into what's actually occurring under the surface, because while everyone's staring at price charts and shouting XRP is dead money, the smart money has been buying up discreetly. I am referring to the exchange outflows, OTC desk activity, and Ripple's own wallet movements that all suggest to institutional positioning. Retail sentiment is not the same as what you will see if you follow the data. I mean the actual on-chain movement, not just what influencers put on X. There is a serious accumulation period that is currently taking place. XRP has always had a significant surge after this pattern of low volatility, sharp outflows, and consistent liquidity spread. This is the portion that most people overlook. Institutions never buy breakouts, they make them. They don't purchase headlines, they buy silence. They build up amid bewilderment rather than excitement. And this is stealth mode in its purest form. The flow of liquidity into Ripple connected corridors is coming from a variety of locations, including Singapore, Japan, and the United Arab Emirates. That volume isn't random, that's getting ready. You don't pull in new liquidity partners at the same time as you boost ODL usage unless you're ready for transactional throughput to rise. Ripple knows exactly what they're doing here. And the timing ends once more. Of November, which coincides exactly with the times when the cryptocurrency market has historically seen liquidity rotations. And for a moment, let's be direct. Right now, retail attention is pitiful. For weeks, there has been a decline in XRP search volume, social media engagement is poor, and once more, individuals are preoccupied with pursuing meme coins. Usually, it's the signal rather than the warning. The setup for shock is created during that time of boredom. There is no reason to liquidity act as price. It needs liquidity activation. Additional utility demand, not hashtags, is what sets off that ignition. The price drops when supply dries up as payment corridors begin moving larger quantity XPPL, and you experience tremendous upward movement as soon as the supply tightens. As you recall, the CEO of Ripple intimated that the end of November would be huge. Examine the upcoming events on the calendar. We've got the Swell Conference. We've got new regulatory frameworks being finalized in several regions. Additionally, we have a number of updates for the CBDC pilot are scheduled to be released during that period. Ripple doesn't organize their communications randomly. They coordinate private milestones with public events. They manage the time of the story in this way. It's not just hype if Brad Garlinghouse predicts that November will be a huge month. This signals the arrival of utility-driven news. Consolidation of whale wallets is another important piece of information. The top 100 or wallets holdings have grown by more than 2 throughout the past month, 3%, although wealthier retail and mid-tier wallets, which usually have smaller funds, have leisure. That indicates a tightening of control over the circulating supply by the major participants. That occurs prior to the onset of institutional liquidity. We witnessed the same scenario prior to XRP's meteoric rise to 190. Because markets are psychological and institutions are adept at using retail tyrants to accumulate at discount prices, these patterns recur. So let's connect that to where we are now. Bitcoin dominance is still lingering about 52%, but it's beginning to reverse. Ethereum's steady currency supply and declining volume metrics are subtly rising. Dry powder just ready to move. Altcoins always follow stable coin liquidity increases 2 to 3 weeks later. We finish up at the end of November on that timeline. This is no longer conjecture. This is its framework. You have institutional accumulation verified, macro liquidity aligned, and Ripple preparing several public-facing declarations. All signals are converging toward one instant, the ignition window. Additionally, you're concentrating on the incorrect statistic if you're still questioning your XR placement. Put price aside for a moment. Take a look at placement. Before headlines, positioning conveys the narrative. Okay, so let's speak about charts now. I realize that many people get emotional over the prior XRP, but the chart is honest. We are currently witnessing a typical pre-breakout compression period. And anyone with sufficient trading experience is aware of how this scenario often has been oscillating for weeks between resistance at just under 230 and important support levels at about 180. The volume is decreasing on the pullbacks, the volatility bands are tightening, and the RSI is stable and close to the midpoint. All indications that the market is awaiting a spark. My friends, that catalyst appears to be well timed with the activities Ripple is preparing for at the end of November. Here's the important part. The breakthrough urge gets stronger the longer XRP is in its little consolidation range. Imagine it as the compression of a spring. The tighter it gets, the more force it releases. It hasn't historically climbed steadily and slowly. It blows up. You can review the rallies in 2017 and 2021. Both followed long periods of dullness and sideways price movement that suddenly chained to explosive higher moves within days. Right now, we're examining the identical technological structure once more. Let's now dissect this into technical signals that can be used. The breakthrough point about 240 is the first important level to keep an eye on. The next leg will be confirmed as active if XRP can close above that level every day and rise of at least 15%. Though 310 is the second level to monitor. The first wave of profit taking from early investors is probably going to occur there. After 100, XRP has room to aim for 5, 5, and 20 if volume continues and Bitcoin doesn't drop below 90,000. And while it may sound extreme, 100% jumps after consolidation aren't uncommon when looking at XRP's volatility profile. They are typical, and there's more information. The difference in liquidity between the 4 Dow SLARs and the 250. The last time XRP moved in that range, there wasn't much liquidity, and purchasers were driven by emotion. The majority of order books are now light in that area, so when XRP launches, it will quickly rip through that gap because there won't be any opposition to stop it. Add derivative positioning to that. On key exchanges, open interest has been steadily increasing once more, and you have the ideal preparation for a squeeze breakout. Once it breaks significant resistance, traders who have been shorting XRP in anticipation of a decline could support the subsequent run upward themselves. Let's now examine the larger framework, such as the weekly schedule. For months, XRP has been printing higher lows, creating a huge ascending triangle. Sellers are running out of options because the horizontal resistance around 230 has been tried several times without collapsing. As demand zones get tighter, you can actually see the pressure